All right. Good morning, everyone. So we're going to go over an exciting topic. I love doing commercial. I want to encourage you all to do commercial. I know at my other office, I used to work a lot with people who I was discouraging my agents from refusing their clients, because we service our clients for a lot of residential needs. And then as soon as they say commercial, a lot of us get scared. It is a little bit of a daunting task. And the reason behind it is because residential, we get used to the rhythm. Usually every deal is very similar. Every deal is the same. We need similar clauses. We have to look out for certain things in certain areas, but with commercial, pretty much every deal you do is different. So the last time I discussed commercial, I had somebody request me to do sale of business because they were working on sale of business. Today, I'm going to focus more on from the buyer side for our clients, how we're going to assess value when we're searching for properties, and maybe some tips and tricks how to search for it online as well. It is really tricky to search for things online for commercial. You can't always find what you want, right? Does anybody have anything they're specifically looking for right now, or I can just make up a search that we're going to do? The first thing I'm going to go into is how to go about our searches and some tricks that I find that help me when I'm in Stratus. So does anybody have anything specific that they're looking for right now that I can help with, or I can just pick something out of the air?
Auto body shops.
Auto body shops. Do you have a specific area that you're working in?
Dorset Park.
Right in this pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So I'm just going to go and share the screen now, and I'll go over to Stratus. Okay, let me just make this smaller here. Okay, so we go into the regular search menu. We're going to go to search properties. Okay, and of course it's going to glitch. Everybody notice that every now and then you hit search, it makes you hit search again. It's like a common glitch in Stratus, I find. Okay, so we're going to go over to the search panel here, and we're going to pick commercial, and I'm going to pick available for sale. Okay. That's a little tricky when you're going into available for sale, because what you're going to find is sale of business or sale of property. Usually when we go to residential and we go to sale, we're only talking about property, right? So you have to be very careful when you're in the sale portion of commercial, because we have to understand that a lot of it is sale of business with the right to lease, to take over the lease. Some of it is the sale of the actual property. So you have to weed through them. So is your client looking to purchase a business with a lease? Or do they want to purchase a building?
They do want to like, that's what I'm like, I have to pretend like I know what's best for them, right?
Right. So these are the questions you have to ask
yeah.
them, because their budget has dramatically changed. So a lot of people look to purchase the business and take over the lease because it's a much more inexpensive option. You could find a business for $100,000, $300,000, whereas to purchase a standalone commercial building that'll accommodate automotive could be $2-3 million easily, right?
So their budget is about 1.5 million, but they're also going in with somebody else whose budget is 1.5 million. So they want me to advise them as to how to best use their
funds.
The funds, yes, exactly. So what would be in their best interest, like to get to take over a lease, or to get a building, right?
Right. Okay, so we're just going to go into here for a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Toronto and see what Toronto has here as for your search. We'll just go in to see what they have for automotive. Okay, so you were saying to look in this area, EO4. Okay, so the first thing that comes up is 28 results. Okay, but we need to refine this so it can be for automotive for our clients. So very often, a lot of us go down over here because we see that it's available as a pull down menu, right? So let's just go and click on automotive in here and see what it gets us. Automotive related. I have 2 listings. Okay, we'll click on those 2 listings and we'll see. So right here, I see that both of them are a sale of business. One is $899 and one is $1.2 million. Okay, so there's one available on Danforth Road. Okay, generally they'll put the square feet so you get an idea how big the leased premises is, because this is sale of business without property. So we have to remember that our client is only going to be leasing the premises. Okay, so
how can you how are you distinguishing Like, how did you figure that out, that it's only a lease and not,
Because right here under the description, normally where it says detached or free, like semi-detached or link property, where that information is in our listing here, it says sale of business without property. Okay, so I know that the property is not included in the sale, so I know it's in a leased premises. Okay, so I know what I'm going to be looking for here in this business is not only the business details. We went over that. You guys can look back on the YouTube video, how to purchase a business and the things to ask. And one of the really important things to ask is the strength of the lease. So how much is left in your lease? What's the right to renew? You know, you want to find out if the landlord has plans to sell in the near future and different stuff like that. So you know that if you put the money into this and you purchase this business, that you have strength in the coming years. It's not going to be a year left on the lease. And you know what? The landlord's really tired of the mess this automotive business is making, and he's not going to renew the lease after that. Perhaps that's why this person's selling, right? And you've just purchased this business for $900,000 now. So you have to find this information out for your client. How much time is left in the lease and what the right to renew is, right? And what the qualifications are from the landlord. Are they going to need to screen your client, improve your client, different things like that, right? But you guys can, again, I go more in depth when I did the sale of business, and I can do it again. I just wanted to focus more on the buy side this time. So again, here, so we see sale of business without property, okay? And so we know this is an established business. It says wholesale retail plus auto workshop, used cars. So they do a bunch of different things in this automotive shop, right?
So,
Well, sorry, go on.
Sales and business means automatically these also.
No, because it could say sale of business with property. So I sold a business out on Wilson Road, okay? And it was sale of business with property. So he owned this little standalone transmission shop, right? And he was selling his building, but he was also selling his business because he was selling the clientele he'd built up over the years at this location, right? So it's possible that this could say with property.
Sale business is not actually lease. Then sale business means his business also selling.
Yes.
And the land also selling.
Right, exactly. So if it says sale of business with property, it means he's selling the business he's worked on creating over the years, plus the structure, plus the property itself.
But not lease.
So if it says without property, it's a lease. Yeah, because he's not selling the property. He doesn't own the property to sell.
Yeah.
He's only been leasing the premises and running his business out of it. But he's again created that clientele base that comes to that property, is familiar with that location. So he's selling the strength of his business and he's sending it over to someone else. But you have to assume the lease because he's not selling the property. He doesn't own the property, right? Yeah.
are those the only two distinctions, or is there like either taking over just the lease or taking over the lease and the building? Like, is there another option where you can maybe take over the building, but like the businesses stay? Or
So yeah, absolutely. So if it's a commercial sale and it's just the landlord selling it and Ken, you're operating a business out of it, I'm selling it on the strength of this business that's been there 10 years. So what I would do in that case is I'm not necessarily buying your business because you're going to continue running your business in it. So absolutely, you can purchase a building with an existing business running in it. So very often when you're purchasing, I'm going to go over it a little bit when I go over net operating income and cap rates. Very often when you're purchasing a commercial property and there's a business running in it, it's your job to source out all the income coming in for your client because you want to show them what the good cap rate is on the building, right? So you want to ask them, say, Ken's been running this automotive business out of here for 10 years. He's doing an excellent job. He's about to give it to his son and they're going to keep on running it. So, and they pay, $2,400 a month. They're a really good tenant. So that's something absolutely possible. You don't have to run the business that's in it necessarily. Sometimes it's just the landlord selling the property, right? Just like you would if there was an income property and you were selling it with the tenant, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Good. Okay, so I just want to go back here now to criteria and I want to point out something and hopefully it'll get us a better result. Automotive is pretty common, but I just find different ways to search things help me out a little bit. So we had those two results. Okay, so the thing with commercial is when the listing agent is listing the property, they don't always use this menu here, okay, for use because different spaces allow different use. So imagine they're running this particular automotive business out of an industrial condo, right? Area, plaza. That industrial condo plaza could have 1,000 different uses that it's good for. You know, people could be doing, you know, embroidery in it. They could do automotive in it. They could be packing something, packagers, you know what I mean? They could be doing 1,000 different businesses out of this. So they don't want to pigeonhole their listing and pick automotive related, right? So very often when I go, and I found as a helpful hint or a tip, is I go down here and I add a field. Okay. And this is everybody who's come to me so far and said, hey, you know, I'm having a lot of trouble finding this use for my client and I can't find it. And I've tried everything to use all these different searches. I go in here and I go to remarks. So the first thing is you can't use both at the same time because they'll kind of cancel each other out because if it's not in both places. So you only want to choose one at a time. So the first one I'll choose is remarks for clients because they want to appeal to the people seeing these listings online on realtor.ca, right? And so here I might put auto motive. Whoops. Can't see with my cursor in the way. Okay, so I noticed now before I typed automotive, when I had auto, I had 4 listings, but I'm just going to go back a little and keep just the auto just to see what it gives me. So you see already in just a small pocket of EO4, it was only bringing me up 2 listings before. Now I have 4 results, right? Because it's going to bring me up hopefully the same one it brought me up before. There you go. So 614 Danforth is still there, but now it's bringing me up these Nantucket ones and this Upton one, right? So some agent has put this in their description, right? Could be used for automotive, could be used for, you know what I mean? Because they're telling you the different types of uses that are allowed. So this is a really good trick that I found because I've been searching a lot of commercial over the years to go in and use that remarks for clients. Yeah.
Is that the only listing for 85?
No, there's 2 here. One sold conditional.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I swear I was looking at 85 Nantucket and it's sold for about 2.3 or something.
Oh, I don't know if it's sold yet. There's one
No,
that's sold conditional here, 989. But maybe the oh, sorry, maybe it's already sold firm then, because this is not 85. This is 300 Nantucket. Right?
85 Nantucket.
Okay. Well, we can go back and see.
I'm surprised it's not coming up and the price is totally different. It's
The price is totally different because this is an industrial condo. So the square footage could be very different because industrial condos can be broken up like these cubbies here. And they're very easy for the landlord to go, oh, you know what, Ken, you only need 1,000 square feet. So you rent unit 2. Saraf, you need 3,000 square feet. So you're going to have unit 2, 3, and 4. And they knock down the walls in between. It's just cinder block walls that they put up in between the industrial condos, right? So it could, in one building, it can be very different spaces. So if you're comparing price, Raf, then you definitely want to look at the square footage of the 2 and see what the difference is. Okay. It's not like a condo building when you're selling and you can just look at the, you know, compare the 2 condos kind of thing, right?
So can you tell me the difference between this one and I'll give you the MLS number E5312745.
Okay, so this one is 6,419 square feet. Okay, and this one is only 1,400 square feet.
So this one is the listing for the inside of so
they're like
how do you tell the difference?
So here you see where the square footage is. This 85 Nantucket is up for $799 because it's 1,400 square feet. So this is one of the first questions you should be asking your client. How much square feet do you need? Right? Whenever I start working with a client, you're going to ask them a couple of very important questions. How much square feet do you need? What type of commercial do you need? So are you looking for the automotive one we just saw? They had a bit of retail. They might not want an industrial unit like this because they want more of a retail front where people will come in and buy the different car parts and tires and accessories that they have for sale, right? So they might want more something retail. You definitely can't put automotive in like office space, right? So you have to ask them what sort of space so you know how to search, because also in these searches, you can define whether you're looking for industrial or office or, you know, different kind of space, right? So the first thing you should be asking is how much square feet they need. So this one is 1,477 square feet, right? And the other one that you're looking at in Nantucket there is 6,419 square feet. That's why it's a big price difference, even though it's in the same industrial condo. So this one is already set up probably for something, and they're trying to sell it extremely rare body shop with paint booth. So you see, already within this unit, there's a big paint booth and it's already set up for automotive. With a paint booth comes a lot of exhaust systems and stuff like that. So they don't want to make it up into little units again. They're trying to sell it as all one big unit.
Can you tell me the MLS number for the other one? I can't read it.
Sure thing. It's E534-9312. Okay, so I'm just going to go back and see if we get a different result if we do remarks for brokers instead. Okay, just for interest's sake. So I'm going to X this out and I'm going to go back here. Oops, I'm not on right there. And we'll see what it says if I put remarks for brokers. So sometimes, more often than not, it's in remarks for clients because they want to appeal to people looking online themselves, but they'll also put it in the broker remarks to let us know. So let's see if they have any automotive here. 1. Okay, so 1 comes up. Let's see if it brings up a different result than what we found. Nope, so it's the same Nantucket. Okay, but very often you see some 614 Danforth was sort of present through my first 2 searches. The Nantuckets weren't there until I did the remarks for clients, right? You want to try and play around with the system and manipulate it to try and find what you want, right? Because it's very difficult when you go to the criteria and you use this use, because like I say, the listing agent very often will not be using this because it's pigeonholing what their listing can be used for. If somebody's going to click on it and see that it says automotive related, sorry, then they're going to be only appealing to those people. So maybe the unit was good for different things. You know, maybe it's more than automotive use that you can use for it. Then they're not going to sell their listing as fast. It's not as appealing to the majority, right? So it's not always going to be there in the search, but in the remarks, they very often list many different uses that it's possible for, or that it's zoned for, right? So try and use that in your searches. All right, so I'm going to show you guys quickly. I'm just going to stop the share and come back into it because sometimes I lose the share there with everybody online. I'm going to come here. Another resource you guys can see and use. Have you guys ever heard of ICI World? ICI World is a resource. You guys, you know, like, do you guys use Condo Now? So Condo Now is good for all the new builds. ICI World is good for commercial. So a lot of agents will subscribe to ICI World to throw their listings on. They also let the public post for free. It's almost like a Kijiji for commercial listings. So people who aren't posting on MLS, some of their listings will be on here. So I thought I'd just draw your guys' attention to it. It's sometimes a good resource. It's not always. It's like Kijiji. Sometimes you find what you want, sometimes you don't. But you just basically go to search and they'll give you commercial opportunities, business opportunities, residential, and for sale by owners, right? So if you go into commercial here, for instance, and keywords say auto related, right? And we were looking in Toronto here, right? I'll just show you a quick view of what it looks like. Okay, so they do wants as well. They don't always do haves. So this is people looking for automotive right now in Toronto. There's no haves on here right now, but sometimes it's a good resource. So automotive is pretty popular and sells fast and it's hard to find. Other things will be on here, banquet halls and car washes and things. Just try the database. I find sometimes I've hit the jackpot with it. Sometimes on days I go on, I don't find anything like this search today. Okay. Just wanted to draw you guys' attention to that as a good resource. So the next thing I wanted to go over is if we are purchasing a building for our clients, right? A lot of our clients are going to ask us, what's the cap rate? We have to know how to be calculating this on the fly really quickly for our clients. Generally they say, you know, if it's 4 or 5 cap rate, it's decent. Some of your clients will give you a tough situation. They'll say, I don't want to buy anything that's under 6 or 7, right? I have some tough clients that won't buy anything unless it's a steal of a deal with a cap rate. And so you have to know how to calculate it for them so you can present to them opportunities that are really good. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to quickly review it. I know we did it when we all went to realtor school, whether you took Oria or Humber, but it's a good idea to go over it again just so we can get a refresher course on it. Okay. Oops, wrong tab. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to establish what the net operating income of your commercial purchase is going to be. So how do we do that? Net operating income is the profitability formula that's often used in real estate to measure the commercial property's profit potential and financial health by calculating the income after operating expenses are deducted. In other words, it measures the amount of cash flow that a property has after all necessary expenses have been paid, right? Real estate investors and creditors use this calculation to evaluate the cash flows of a specific property and determine whether it's a good investment or credit worthy. Okay, banks will also be using this too. They're not going to let you invest in something that's tanking out, right? They'll do a quick calculation of the cap rate themselves, right? For example, they look at how much money that the property can generate after all operating expenses have been paid in order to decide how valuable it is and what price they're willing to pay for it. Quick aside, if you're going for commercial funding too, if you are buying a business that is tanked, for instance, Nietzsche, you open something up and it's the first time you ever tried running a bakery and it's failing. And then I turn around to go and purchase the building. And I'm also, ironically, have owned a bakery before. So I'm going to come and I'm going to open up the bakery. I think I can turn it around. They will consider more funding if you can show a business plan, right? They'll do funding that way, but that's a whole other story. So since there are many different ways a piece of property can generate income, investors and creditors need to include all revenues in their evaluation. For example, a rental property can generate cash from renting apartments, charging parking fees, servicing vending machines, coin laundry, right? All of these activities contribute to the cash flow of the property and necessary expenses. The concept isn't exclusive to real estate. Other industries refer to it as earnings before interest and taxes, right? And use it to base investment decisions. So how do we calculate this now for our client? What we should be doing is we should be asking that listing agent, once our client is interested in the property, even before they view it, because you don't want to waste your time taking your client around. If they've told you, look, I want the lowest cap rate I want to work with is 4.5 or 5, find me those. You don't want to take them to all these properties and waste your time all day showing them before you calculate the cap rate. So you're going to be, hopefully listing agents put up a lot of the things as attachments, but sometimes they don't. You have to call them and you have to say to them, hey, what is the revenue coming in and what are the expenses of the building? Can you send me the breakdown? Right? So you're going to take all of the revenue coming in. So we're looking at rental income, parking fees, if there's, charges for the parking, service charges, vending machines, laundry machines, what's coming through this building that's bringing in cash flow, right? And the operating expenses and the net operating income formula consist of necessary expenses. So what does it take to run this building now? So it's going to be property management fees if you're using a property management company or a cleaning service, right? Insurance for the building. What are the utilities, the property taxes, and the repairs and maintenance, right? You have to also take things into consideration. Is there a parking lot? Is there snow removal? Are there gardens? Is there, a landscaping company taking after the thing? You have to ask these questions because sometimes not all these listing agents know or are doing commercial every day. It's very often when you're looking on MLS, you're dealing with a listing agent who maybe hasn't listed a commercial property before, but they're listing it because the cousin is selling the business. So you guys have to know to ask these questions for your clients, right? To do your due diligence. So this is just an example where they're just going to take everything down. I'm not going to calculate it right now and bore us all, but we'll just go over it quickly. Yeah.
Can you scroll up
Yeah.
a little bit?
Has anybody been through this process before where they had to find out everything for their clients? Right? Yeah, that's good. It's fun. I really enjoy doing commercial for this reason because every single deal you deal with is different, right? One day you can be dealing with an automotive, the next you're dealing with an apartment building, the next you're dealing with like I say, a bakery or a restaurant or a nightclub or something fun, you know what I mean? So it's different. You have to get to learn what to ask for every business. Every business is different, right? So we're going to say that Marsha owns a real estate business that purchases existing rental properties and potential rental properties. She's constantly looking for new real estate to invest in so that she can either improve or run more efficiently than current owners. Today, she's evaluating 2 small apartment buildings that show the following items on their annual income statement. So apartment number 1, the rental income is $100,000. Property management fees are $20,000. Property taxes are $15,000. Repairs are $20,000. Insurance is $10,000. Whereas apartment number 2, the rental income is $50,000. The property management fees are only $1,000. property taxes are 1,000, repairs are 1,000, and insurance is 2,000. Marcia uses net operating income to equation to evaluate both of these buildings, right? So they're going to look at the $100,000, right? Here you go, $100,000 minus $65,000. The net operating income on building one is $35,000, and $50,000 minus $5,000. The net operating income is $45,000. So you can see the first apartment generates more gross revenue. So when you're first taking a look at it, it sounds atrocious. Even when I was reading it, you're thinking, oh, the property management fees are $20,000. It's only $1,000 in this building. But we see, just because of the different rental income that's bringing in, the revenue it's bringing in versus what the fees are for the operating expenses, the net operating income, right, is more for the second building, right? The first generates more gross revenues during the year, but it has more expenses than the second building, probably because it's a larger building. It needs more repairs during the year. Let's see, the repairs in the first one were 20,000, whereas the repairs are only 1,000 for the building. So you're looking at the two, and your client, you're telling your client, oh, the net operating income is more for the second building, right? So does anybody have any questions how to calculate net operating income? Because now we're going to go over the cap rate, which is the most important part. That's what our clients are looking for at the end of the day. You can tell them, oh yeah, net operating income. They're going to hear the numbers, but what they really want to hear is the cap rate. What's the cap rate at the end of the day? So we're good with net operating income. How's everybody doing online there? Everybody understands that so far? All right, so we're going to go back in. And I'll just go to the next one and talk about cap rate. So what is cap rate? Okay, the capitalization rate is commonly used in real estate and refers to the rate of return on a property based on the net operating income. So what we just calculated of the property that the property generates. In other words, capitalization rate is a return metric that is used to determine the potential return on investment or payback of the capital, right? So cap rate formula. The formula for cap rate is equal to net operating income divided by the current market value of the asset, right? So you're going to take the net operating income and you're going to divide it by the current market value. So what are they asking for the property, right? Net operating income is the annual income. So we just went over that. Generated by the property after deducting all the expenses, right? The current market value of the asset is the value of the asset on the marketplace. So what are they asking for this building? They want $2.3 million, right? That would be the current market value, for instance. The importance of capitalization rate. So why do your clients want to know this? What's the importance for them, right? The capitalization rate is used to compare different investment opportunities. For example, if all else equal, a property with a 10% cap rate versus another property with 3%, an investor is most likely to focus on the property with a 10% cap rate. The rate also indicates the amount of time it takes an owner to recover the investment on a property. So how much time is it going to take them to recoup the capital expense on this property that they just paid, right? With the net operating income coming in. For example, if a property comes with a 10% cap rate, it'll take 10 years for the investor to recover his investment, called fully capitalized, right? Although it is an important metric in comparing investment opportunities, investors should never base a purchase on the cap rate of a property alone. It is useful to note that different cap rates represent different levels of risk. Low cap rate implies lower risk, while high cap rate implies higher risk. Therefore, there's no optimal cap rate. It depends on the investor's risk preference. While this may be true, like in theory, we'll find that our clients are going to focus a lot on that cap rate. I have a lot of commercial clients who focus solely on the cap rate. That's all they ask me. The first time anybody looking for anything, the first thing when I pick up the phone, what's the cap rate? Oh, I think there's a new listing in here. You want to go see it? What's the cap rate? I get asked this constantly by any of my commercial clients. For example, consider two properties in different geographical locations. One is highly coveted suburban region, while the other is rundown part of the city. The property in the highly coveted suburban region would show a lower cap rate, though the high market value of the asset. On the contrary, the property located in the rundown part of the city would come with a higher cap reflected by the lower market value of that asset. So we're going to take a couple of cap rate examples here. They have some, just so we're going to figure out how to calculate it. John's an investor looking to buy an investment property. From taking real estate courses, he remembers that the capitalization rate is an effective metric in evaluating real estate properties. John identifies three properties with their respective expenses, annual income, and market values. So we can see the first one is listed at 1.5 right? The annual income is 100,000 and the expenses are 7,500. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to figure out what the net operating income is. So you're going to take the annual income and you're going to minus the expenses from it, right? Once you minus the expenses from it, you're going to divide it by the market value, okay? And you're going to come up with 6.17%, okay? Does everybody understand how that works?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so the second property is market value is 4 million, annual income is 250, and expenses are 15,000. This one ends up with a cap rate of 588, and the last one ends up with a cap rate of 9.5. So if I had a client looking at these, they're probably going to be very interested in the 9.5 one because they see that it has an excellent cap rate on it. Yeah. Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
No.
I thought
That's okay.
No, like example, the first one A, yeah.
Yeah.
Annual income 100,000.
Yeah.
Expense of the 500. Market value 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So that means, so the cap rate is 6.61%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why they average, they average 61%.
It's not the average, it's the actual like cap rate of this property. So if you see, I could probably actually, I could probably bring my calculator up on the screen here so everybody can see here as well, right? Okay, so we have the annual income is 100,000,
100,000.
right?
So the
And you're gonna take 7,500 off of that, right? And you get 92,500, right? And then you're gonna divide that. Where do I divide on my computer here? Okay, well, I'll just use this.
7,500 is per month, no?
No, that's the annual.
This annual expenses you're looking at. Yeah. So then you're gonna divide that by the market value. So these people are asking 1.5 million. Oh, sorry, 1.5 million for the property. See, so I end up with a cap rate of 6.17. Percent.
After multiple by and then the percentage then comes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just
Okay,
moving
okay,
the
okay.
decimal over a couple
Yeah,
places, but 6.17 in here you can see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it gets really easy when you do it over and over again on a property. Just the most important things you need to keep in mind is when your client is looking at a property, you want to ask, what's the revenue, annual revenue, and what are the expenses? And the thing is that you can't be tricked either. Just because they give you the information, you have to ask. Very recently, I was asking about a property and the person's like, oh, well, it's really good. And these are the revenues and this is the expenses. And I said to them, well, what about the landscaping? I said, there's grass around here. You didn't include that in the expense list, right? Oh, yeah, no. And then they'll put that in. So you have to make sure that they're either not intentionally or unintentionally that they're including all the expenses. You have to be smart and think about these things for your clients, right? Because I'm thinking, looking around this building, there's grass and stuff, and I don't see any landscaping. Who mows the lawn around here, right? Who's taking care of the snow and the parking? Where's the landscaping cost on this? Landscaping can be expensive over the year. You can end up spending, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. That adds to what your expenses are for the building. So be mindful when you're asking a listing agent what the revenue is and what the expenses are, that they definitely going to tell you what all the revenue is, right down to the penny of the coin laundry. But with the expenses, they're not necessarily including everything that they should be, and you should be really diligent to make sure that they are, whether it's an intentional thing or not, right? So they might just be saying all the expenses, the utilities and the taxes and this, just very basic, right? Because you don't want the last thing you want to do is tell your client this has got a great cap rate, and then they turn around and they forgot landscaping, and the roof needs to be done next year, and all of a sudden the cap rate is like so much worse, right? Do you want some tissue? All right. So after doing the calculations for the properties above, John realizes property C returns the highest cap rate. In a simple world, like we say, he would be considering that one. John may base his purchase on the rate alone. However, it is just one of the many metrics that can be used to assess the return on commercial real estate property. Although cap rate gives a good idea of a property's theoretical return on investment, it should be used in conjunction with other metrics such as the gross rent multiplier, amongst many other things. You have to keep also into consideration when you're dealing with rental buildings. They usually take, oh geez, what's it called off the top of my head? They usually take like a vacancy rate on there as well, because just because you're getting a building that has 6 units and they're all rented now, your landlord has to allot for vacancies in the near future. This is even like not just commercial buildings, but residential buildings as well, right? So in summary, the cap rate is profitability metric used to determine the return on your investment. The formula is calculated as net operating income divided by the current market value, right? The rate can be used to determine the riskiness of an investment opportunity. High cap rate implies higher risk, while low cap rate implies lower risk. But we find that our clients don't always want the lowest cap rate property because they want to see their return on investment faster, right? The capitalization rate should be used in conjunction with other metrics and other things that you want to take into consideration, right? Does anybody have any questions about any of that so far? Does anybody online have anything that they're currently working on that maybe they're having trouble searching for, or that they want a trick or a tip that I can help use?
Can you share the screen again?
Yeah, I can share the screen again for sure. So another thing I want to mention, as you go about your travels and you start dipping into a little bit of commercial real estate, another thing you really have to keep in mind is networking. Okay, so real estate, yeah, is a good networking thing. Day to day, we have to keep in good with different agents out there that we're working with, right? But when we go into the database, for the most part, aside from for sale by owners and exclusive listings, most of the things are listed there on the Toronto Real Estate Board. This is not the case with commercial. So you need to rely on how savvy you are with some of the tricks that I showed you to go and look for different things and different resources, but you need to keep a good network, okay? A lot of these like CBRE guys and Colliers guys, they don't put their commercial listings on MLS. They believe in networking amongst each other and selling their own listings. a lot of commercial goes exclusive. It never goes on to the MLS system. So if you find these people in different cities that you're working with, for instance, if I'm like looking in London, I have a guy that I know I can text and say, hey, you got any units? I'm looking for about 1,000 square feet, right? Just because I work with them in the past, keep your contacts careful, keep your network going, and try and share back with them as well, because they are a good resource, right? So a lot of times when you find these agents, just keep in contact and do that, because it's a good resource for your clients just to page out. So, okay, I know Saraf's in London, and, Ken's working in Toronto, and you're working in Durham, me too. And I'm going to text all of you because my client told me to find him automotive anywhere, right? It's a good tool, because like I say, it is a really exclusive world. It's not, that's why it's a little bit frustrating for us who are doing residential on a daily basis when we go in and our clients ask us for something and we go into Stratus to use it. Not a lot of listings are on there. I would say maybe 40%. Like, I think it's less than half of all the actual listings that are out there that are available to rent or buy or purchase, under commercial. But 40% are listed on our MLS system. So it's not the best resource.
So also good in the networking, if someone else helping in London, someone says, so let's head it, but I know we're sharing, but
yeah, but you don't have to share with them. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm saying, I know you're an agent, a commercial agent in London. You work mostly commercial. If you hit one of these guys that are working mostly commercial, keep them as a contact in your phone, because I'm telling you that, and they're very frank about it. If you talk to a lot of these commercial guys, they're going to say, no, I don't put hardly any of my listings on MLS, right? The reason is that they just like to work exclusively with each other, you know what I mean, and find their clients. Yeah. So you have to keep a good network. If you're delving in commercial, you have to keep a good network, keep contacts close, learn who does what. Oh, this guy's always renting. I know that there's this one guy over, Clements in Pickering. He annihilates. He has 99% of the listings in that building because he's the guy. He's got the contact with that owner. So anybody who tells me they're looking for an industrial condo in Pickering, I always message him first, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I got a person looking for this. You got 2,000 square feet, with so much amperage, I need it. Right. So,
can I have that contact?
Whatever you guys need, you can always call me. Like, I can sit here and give you 100 contacts all at once. It just depends what your need is right now. Right. So as far as automotive going, if it's a messy use, I don't know if it'll be allowed in this industrial condo. Right. Because it's the one, the one on Clements there.
Yesterday I saw in Los Angeles and Europe, some people, Remax and the back home thing.
Yeah.
So I always keep in touch in the Facebook,
Yeah, of course.
In case anything, so in case say someone in Europe, if I want to they want to buy here,
Yes.
or somebody their client, so
Yes.
still I get a commission half there, no?
Yeah.
If I found somebody send it there,
Yeah.
I had these people buy a house, then half for me, no?
Yeah.
I mean,
Whatever you want to work out, whatever you want to work out.
That's right.
Half is really good if you're referring.
Yeah.
If you're receiving, half is not that great. So I work exclusively like with all these referrals all the time. Keep in mind, it's a good resource for us. Just because our client says they're searching in Windsor or Alberta and we don't work there, make sure you refer it out. You're going to get a portion of it. So very often you see 65-35, 70-30 is the splits, right? And
we have to email
you
or
have to
something.
sign your referral agreement though.
We send it paperwork, it's
Yeah.
signed, then
Yeah.
we have to go.
Then you can go through and give them your client information. Well, actually on the referral agreement, the client information is there, right?
Yeah,
For them to
yeah.
sign. So it's definitely a good resource. I work with someone in England a couple times now. She sent me a client, right? I haven't sent her one yet actually. And then she sent me another client. So yeah, for sure. No, it's good to have these resources.
Yeah, you know, everybody already bought, so
Just last summer, I sold a bungalow in Scarborough here, and my clients were moving to New Brunswick. I referred out to New Brunswick. I made a good realtor friend there, you know? So it's good to keep all these people contacts close for sure. Yeah, for sure, for sure. How's everybody online? Anybody got any questions or anything? I encourage you guys to try commercial deals. I know that sometimes they're a bit of a headache. There can be huge payoffs if you get used to doing commercial real estate. You can have some really big transactions and some really big fat checks if you guys work on it. They're not always like that. Some of them are, you know, a lot of them are leases and small businesses and stuff like that, but still rewarding. And sometimes it's just a good break from the mundane. Instead of doing the same residential real estate transaction over and over again with the same clauses, you kind of get tired of reading the same clause over and over. It gives you the opportunity to like learn different businesses and stuff. I know early on, the reason I got thrown into commercial real estate is when my dad sort of stopped working and I took over. I had a lot of automotive in the West End. And I had to just, I don't know anything about, you know, cars and transmissions and this and that. It was a quick learn. I had to be a quick learn and go and try and sell these businesses and places out in the West End. So, and I just, sorry, what's up? I thought someone had a question online. So it's good. And not only that, like convenience stores, they're fun when you're talking about learning about stock and getting the lottery license and different stuff. You guys can watch back my YouTube video about sale of business, but we can do it again. And keep in mind, if you guys are working on anything, come to me. You know, even if I don't know the answer, we'll try and find it. We'll try and find it, right? I know someone in the office was working on an abattoir, right? We didn't know that's what it was called. He just said his client wants a, you know, a place where they like a butcher or not a butcher, but you know, where they take the animals, the slaughterhouse. That's what it is. So we're looking everything online, and then we realized that it's called an abattoir, and then we ended up finding some listings online. So it's fun. It's fun to do the research and, you know, get into these different businesses and see what they're doing. So don't be afraid if your client asks you.
If it out of country, they want to do the mortgage, example, they buy a house here, then they have to put 20% down. I think.
No, it's more. I thought it was like 30, 35, yeah.
20%.
Yeah, it's foreign. Yeah, for foreign buyers. Yeah.
And then they can use their work, whatever they can send it here paperwork for bank mortgage.
That's a good question. I'm not sure what the approval process is, like what kind of paperwork they need to give the mortgage person, but I know definitely it's a bigger down deposit. Yeah, down payment. Yeah.
Now, some people
100%. Yeah, and a lot of them are cash buyers. You know what I mean? Like I know anybody that I've dealt with, you know, foreign buyers. A lot of them are just buying things cash, right? So, like they have it all. So they 35% is really nothing for them. Yeah. So.
That's good.
Very good, very good.
That's why I give Remax also.
Exactly. And Remax is such a well-known brand. You pretty much anywhere in the world, you could say Remax and they know, right? So it's good. You have to use the power of your brand. You guys are paying the franchise fees. You got to use every bit of it to help you get business, right? So definitely top brand. All right.
That's all legal, no? That's the Remax. So everywhere networking. So we deal with other people.
Yeah.
So it's all legally, no?
It's all legal, yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone online here. Very nice seeing you. And I will see you on Thursday. Don't forget to sign up for the workshop, the TREB workshop I set up for the office, okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.